Welcome to our Devos. This week, we are finishing off our series on finishing strong by finishing strong with praise. One of the biggest hurdles of your Christian life is actually looking at your life with an attitude, like Pastor Mike said last week, of gratitude, of keeping your attitude and your mind in check and keeping it spiritually in tune with what God is doing, even though other things around you might not be working out the way that you expect. So we want to be people that are marked by our praise, people that are marked by our strength in God, and not by the situations that are going on around us that we can't control, but instead on the God who can control those situations. So today, I want to talk to you about finishing strong and what it means by trusting God when the finish line feels far. Some of you, you're into something where the finish line feels far away. And it might be different for every person, but one thing that we all have in common when the finish line seems far is we get really, really discouraged in the middle. It's about everything. It's marriage. You get tired of you're dealing with the same problems, you deal with struggles, and it seems like you're like, I'm working on my marriage, I'm trying to make things better, I'm trying to see how I can be better in my family, and it just seems like it's so far to get the ideal situation because it's one step forward, two steps back. Or you're working on a career, and you've been kind of putting together a plan financially, and you're working the plan, but every single time you look at the big picture, it just seems like it's so far away. Well, there's something to be said about setting the finish line as your goal of what you're doing, but then focusing on the next step, focusing on the daily, focusing on how to do well now, and not just what it's going to be like when you finish. And this requires complete dependence on God. It says in Isaiah chapter 40, verses 29 through 31, this is a real pumped up passage. It talks about God's strength. And it says here, He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, He increases strength. They who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. This is God's ability to give strength even in the middle of a situation where people find themselves the weakest. And in the middle, when you're trying to do something big, like we're trying to build this church, and we've been working on this for over a decade. Well, it's real easy if we're focusing on just that finish line and just that end result to start to get discouraged. But God renews your strength when you depend on Him, when you turn to Him with praise and believe that the strength comes from Him and not from your own human invention. That is the true secret to finishing strong, by putting His strength ahead of your own efforts and believing that He is the one that's going to bring you through to completion.